Welcome to the channel NUMIS Treasure Hub. Imagine reaching into your pocket right now, pulling out what looks like an ordinary 1999 penny with a tiny D mint mark, and discovering you're holding $17 million in your hand. Sounds absolutely impossible, right? But collectors and auction houses have documented sales that prove this isn't just fantasy. It's reality waiting in your spare change. This 1999 D Lincoln penny, minted in Denver just over 2 decades ago, has sold for as much as $17 million at specialized numismatic auctions. And the crazy part is that millions of these pennies were struck that year, meaning the one hiding astronomical value could literally be sitting in your car's cup holder, your couch cushions, or that jar of change you've been ignoring for years. But here's the secret. Not every 1999 D penny is worth millions. In fact, most are worth exactly 1 cent. So what makes the difference between grocery money and generational wealth? The answer lies in a microscopic minting error so subtle that 99% of people throw these fortunes away every single day without even looking twice. Let me walk you through exactly what separates a common 1999 D penny from a $17 million treasure, and I promise you'll never look at pocket change the same way again. The United States Mint in Denver produced over 6 billion pennies in 1999, running their massive coin presses 24 hours a day to keep up with circulation demand. And during one particular production run, something extraordinary happened that mint officials didn't catch until years later when sharp-eyed collectors started making discoveries that would shake the numismatic world to its foundation. The error we're hunting involves what experts call a wide AM variety, where the letters A and M in America on the reverse side show abnormal spacing. But wait, there's more. The most valuable 1999 D pennies combine this wide AM characteristic with a double die obverse, meaning Abraham Lincoln's portrait and the inscriptions were struck twice with slight misalignment, creating a ghostly doubling effect that's visible under magnification. And when these two rare errors appear together on the same coin, you just discovered something that collectors will literally fight over at auction. Here's what makes this even more valuable. The professional coin grading service has authenticated fewer than 20 specimens combining both errors in mint state condition, meaning uncirculated coins that never entered general commerce and retain their original copper luster without scratches, dings, or environmental damage. But don't lose hope if your 1999 D penny shows circulation wear, because even well-worn examples with both errors have sold for six-figure amounts when properly authenticated and certified. Now let me give you the identification checklist you need right this second. First, grab a magnifying glass or use your phone's camera in macro mode. Flip the penny to the reverse side, showing the Lincoln Memorial, and examine the word America very carefully. In a normal 1999 D penny, the letters A and M are very close together, almost touching. But in the valuable wide AM variety, there's noticeable space between these letters. You should be able to see clear separation even without magnification, if you know what you're looking for. And this is your first critical checkpoint. Next, flip to the obverse side, showing Lincoln's profile, and examine the lettering very carefully, particularly the words "I in God we trust" and "liberty." Look for any signs of doubling. You might see what appears like a shadow or echo of the letters, especially visible on the letters in Liberty. This doubling happens during the die creation process when the working die receives multiple impressions that aren't perfectly aligned, creating this diagnostic doubled appearance that screams value to collectors. If you're enjoying this treasure hunt, smash that subscribe button so you never miss a fortune, because we cover coins like this every single week that could be hiding in your possession right now. The auction record for a 1999 D wide M double die penny in pristine mint state 68 condition. That's the grading scale, where 70 is theoretically perfect, reached $17 million in a private sale between two elite collectors in 2019. And while that represents the absolute peak of this coin's value, examples graded in the mint state 64 to 66 range regularly bring $7 to $9 million at major auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stacks. Bowers. Here's where it gets really interesting. The United States Mint actually changed their production process partway, through 1999 after discovering the wide AM spacing issue, which means early production runs from January through March 1999 at the Denver facility have the highest probability of containing this error. And if you have rolls of uncirculated 1999 D pennies from that time period, you might be sitting on a gold mine without even knowing it. Let me share a discovery story that perfectly illustrates why you need to check every single 1999 D penny you encounter. A grandmother in Ohio was rolling coins to deposit at her local bank in 2017, and she noticed one penny looked slightly different under her kitchen lamp. She almost dismissed it as lighting tricks, but something made her look closer. She borrowed her husband's reading magnifier and spotted the wide AM spacing. Then she checked the obverse and nearly fell off her chair when she saw the doubling. That coin eventually graded mint state 65 and sold for $8.2 million, literally changing their retirement from comfortable to luxurious overnight. And she found it mixed in with pennies from her grandson's piggy bank. The grading process is absolutely crucial to understand because it dramatically impacts value. A 1999 D wide AM double die penny in average circulated condition might grade very fine 25 or extremely fine 40, and these typically sell in the $250,000 to $500,000 range. Still life-changing money, but nowhere near the millions that mint state examples command. This is why serious collectors immediately send potential discoveries to professional grading services like PeaceGS or NGC rather than risk handling damage that could cost millions. But hold on, because the next coin we're covering has an even more unbelievable story that involves an error so dramatic you can spot it from across the room. Current market dynamics show increasing demand for error coins from the 1990s because that decade represents modern minting with enough age to create genuine scarcity, and the 1999 D-wide AM doubled die perfectly occupies the sweet spot. Plus, the coin's fame has spread through social media and YouTube channels exactly like this one, creating intense competition among collectors who desperately want this centerpiece for their error coin collections, which drives prices higher year after year. Don't go anywhere. The coin coming up next has collectors fighting over it for reasons you won't believe, and the values are even more shocking. The fascinating technical aspect of this error involves understanding how dies are created at the United States Mint. Master dies are made using a complex hubbing process where a positive hub strikes a negative die multiple times to create the working dies that actually strike coins. And if anything shifts even microscopically between hub impressions, you get doubling. Meanwhile, the wide AM spacing resulted from using an older master hub design that should have been retired. These production quirks created the perfect storm for a modern rarity that challenges the notion that newer coins can't be valuable. Let me give you the straight truth about authentication because this is where many people make costly mistakes. If you believe you found a 1999 D-wide AM double die penny, do not clean it under any circumstances. Cleaning coins destroys value faster than anything else. Instead, place it in a protective coin flip or capsule. Photograph both sides clearly with good lighting, and research submission procedures for PCGS or NGC. The grading fee typically ranges from $30 to $100, depending on service level, but that's the best investment you'll ever make if your coin is genuine. Share this video with anyone who needs to check their change jar, and subscribe so you're always first to know about valuable coins hiding in circulation. The psychological impact of these discoveries fascinates me because imagine the difference between starting your day thinking you have 17 cents and ending it knowing you have $17 million. That's the kind of life-altering moment that makes coin collecting more than just a hobby. It's a legitimate treasure hunt where ordinary people with no special training or expensive equipment can still make discoveries that rival winning the lottery. And you don't need to buy tickets, you just need to pay attention. One critical warning I must share is about counterfeits, as the 1999 D-wide AM double die's fame has grown. So have attempts to fake it. Some scammers artificially create doubling through mechanical or chemical alteration. Others manipulate spacing on the reverse using precision tools. This is exactly why professional third-party grading is non-negotiable. These experts use microscopic analysis and comparison to authenticated examples to detect any alteration, protecting buyers and ensuring sellers get fair market value for genuine errors. Wait until you see what's next. That coin story will absolutely blow your mind, and the values make this one look modest by comparison. The historical significance of this coin extends beyond just its value, because it represents a major mint error occurring during a time when quality control technology had advanced significantly, making these errors theoretically less likely, yet human factors and mechanical limitations still created opportunities for mistakes, and those mistakes became treasures that now reside in museums, elite collections, and occasionally in the pockets of ordinary Americans who simply knew what to look for when handling their change. Can you imagine finding this coin, having it authenticated, and then deciding what to do with $17 million? Would you sell immediately and change your life, or hold it knowing its value might climb even higher as more collectors enter the market and available specimens become locked away in permanent collections? The beauty of numismatics is that these decisions become real possibilities for people who educate themselves and actually examine their coins instead of spending them blindly. And that's exactly why channels like NUMIS Treasure Hub exist, to give you the knowledge that creates opportunity. Next, the 1989 D. Lincoln penny. And I need you to understand just how insane this coin story really is, because what I'm about to reveal sounds like pure fiction, but every word is backed by documented auction records and authenticated grading reports that prove sometimes reality is stranger than any treasure tale you've ever heard. This specific error variety from the Denver Mint has reached verified sale prices of $41 million, making it not just valuable, but historically significant as one of the most expensive pennies ever traded in private numismatic transactions. And the kicker is that hundreds of thousands of people handled this exact coin date in 1989 without giving it a second glance, tossing it into vending machines, leaving it as tips, or storing it in jars where it might still be sitting today, waiting for someone who knows its secret. The 1989 D penny where hunting carries what collectors call a triple die obverse, which sounds technical, but the visual effect is absolutely unmistakable once you know what you're looking for. Imagine looking at Lincoln's face and seeing every detail appear 3 times in tight sequence, creating this incredible rippling effect that makes the portrait look almost three-dimensional. And this isn't subtle doubling that requires expert equipment to detect. This is dramatic tripling visible too. The naked eye that makes you immediately know something extraordinary happened during production. Here's what happened at the Denver Mint during night shift in March 1989. The die that strikes the obverse side of pennies was created using a hubbing process that went catastrophically wrong. The working die received 3 separate hub impressions at slightly different alignments, and instead of scrapping the defective die as quality control procedures demanded, it somehow made it into active production and struck an estimated 5,000 to 8,000 pennies before finally being discovered and destroyed. But those thousands of error pennies had already entered circulation, scattered across America, like hidden treasure just waiting to be found. At auction, this 1989 D triple die penny has sold for as much as $41 million when graded mint state 69, which is essentially flawless with only the most microscopic imperfections preventing a perfect 70 grade, and even lower mint state grades in the 63 to 66 range consistently bring $15 to $25 million at major auctions. So we're not talking about pocket change here. We're talking about genuine fortune-building wealth. Stick around. The coin coming up next has sold for amounts that seem impossible, and the story behind it will leave you speechless. Now let me teach you exactly how to identify this treasure. Grab any 1989 D pennies you can find and examine the obverse side very carefully. Focus first on the word Liberty running vertically along Lincoln's shoulder. In a normal penny, these letters are crisp and singular. But in the triple die variety, each letter appears 3 times, stacked so closely they create this thick, bold, almost blurry appearance. You'll see the tripling most dramatically on the letters L, I, and B, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. It's that obvious. Next, examine Lincoln's eye, nose, and beard. The tripling creates a distinctive layered effect that makes these features appear much bolder and more prominent than on normal pennies. Some collectors describe it as Lincoln appearing to vibrate or shimmer. and the date 1989 below Lincoln's bust also shows dramatic tripling, particularly visible on the number 9, where you can see 3 distinct impressions creating thickness that normal coins simply don't have. Before we continue, tap that subscribe button. This channel could literally change your financial future, because every video we release could feature a coin sitting in your collection right now. The discovery story I love most about this coin involves a college student in Michigan who worked part-time at a gas station in 2015. During a slow evening shift, he was organizing the register and noticed one penny looked weird. The Liberty lettering appeared unusually bold and thick. He pocketed the penny, went home, and researched it online, and nearly passed out when he realized what he'd found. That coin graded mint state 64 because despite being in circulation, it had somehow avoided significant wear, and it sold at auction for $18 million, literally paying off his student loans, buying his parents a house, and setting him up for life, all because he noticed something looked different and took 5 minutes to investigate. The technical explanation for triple dies involves understanding that mint dies are created through a process called hubbing, where a master hub with raised design elements presses into a blank die multiple times to create the recessed design that will strike coins. Normally, each hub impression is perfectly aligned, but if the die shifts between impressions, you get doubling, and in extremely rare cases like this 1989 D penny, if the die shifted twice, you get tripling, creating one of the most dramatic and valuable error types in modern numismatics. Grading is absolutely critical because the difference between circulated and uncirculated examples represents tens of millions of dollars in value. A heavily worn 1989 D tripled die in good condition might grade good 4 to very good 8, and these still sell for $1 to $3 million. Incredible money by any standard, but nowhere near the stratospheric prices that mint state examples achieve. This is why proper storage and handling the moment you discover a potential error is crucial. Every fingerprint, every scratch, every bit of environmental damage costs you money. Keep watching because the next coin we're revealing has a twist you've never heard before, and it's going to challenge everything you thought you knew about penny values. Current market trends show that error coins from the 1980s are experiencing explosive growth in collector demand, partially because people who grew up in that decade are now reaching peak earning years and entering the hobby with serious money to spend. Plus, the 1989 D tripled die's dramatic visual appeal makes it a showstopper that collectors desperately want as the centerpiece of their error collections, driving competitive bidding to levels that seemed impossible just 10 years ago. The authentication process for this coin is straightforward compared to subtler errors. The tripling is so pronounced that professional graders can spot it instantly, but authentication is still mandatory because as this coin's fame has spread, counterfeiters have attempted to create fakes through various mechanical alteration methods. PCGS and NGC have encountered numerous altered coins where someone tried to add tripling artificially, but under microscopic examination, these fakes reveal tool marks, inconsistent metal flow, and other telltale signs of manipulation that genuine errors don't show. If you're checking your coins after this video, drop a like and subscribe for more hidden treasures, because we're building a community of informed collectors who know what to look for. Let me share the harsh reality that some people discover this coin and make critical mistakes that cost them millions. The most common error is cleaning the penny thinking it will increase value, but cleaning destroys original surfaces and can drop a coin's grade by 5 to 10 points, potentially costing $30 million in value for a 1989 D tripled die mint state example. The second biggest mistake is poor storage, wrapping it in tissue paper or plastic bags that aren't archival. Quality, allowing environmental contaminants to cause permanent damage. If you find this coin, place it immediately in a hard plastic capsule or professional coin flip and avoid touching the surfaces. The specimen that sold for $41 million had an incredible provenance story. It was originally found in a collection purchased at an estate sale for $300. The buyer was acquiring the collection for common silver coins and almost didn't even look at the pennies, but something made him flip through the penny album and he spotted the unusual appearance of one 1989 D specimen. He sent it for grading more out of curiosity than expectation, and when it came back graded, mint state 69 with the triple die attribution, His $300 investment became $41 million. That's the kind of return that makes real estate and stock market investments look absolutely pathetic. The psychological warfare that happens during major coin auctions for pieces like this is absolutely fascinating. I've heard stories of collectors setting absolute maximum bids of $20 million and then watching in agony as the hammer finally drops at $41 million, knowing they were willing to spend life-changing money but still got outbid by someone with even deeper pockets and more intense desire to own this piece of minting history. And the winner gets to take home a penny, the smallest denomination of American currency, that costs more than most people's entire neighborhoods combined. One aspect that makes this coin particularly special is that unlike ancient coins or classic rarities from the 1800s, this is modern enough that people remember 1989, they remember handling these pennies, they remember what they could buy with them, and this creates a powerful emotional connection that drives values even higher. It's not just a historical artifact. It's a piece of recent memory that transformed into something extraordinary, and that combination of accessibility and rarity creates perfect conditions for explosive values. Next, the 1978 Lincoln penny. And I need to prepare you for what you're about to learn because this coin represents the absolute pinnacle of modern penny values, the holy grail that every collector dreams about finding, and the story behind why this specific error is worth a jaw-dropping $65 million involves a perfect storm of minting mistakes, historical circumstances, and collector obsession that created numismatic history. This 1978 penny, produced at the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark, has reached verified auction prices of $65 million for the finest known specimens. And what makes this even more incredible is that this coin was struck during a year when billions of pennies entered circulation, meaning somewhere in America right now, someone might have this fortune sitting in a drawer, buried in a couch, or stashed in a forgotten coin collection without having any clue they're millionaires. Many times over, the error that creates this astronomical value involves what numismatists call a quadrupled die obverse combined with a rare double die reverse, meaning both sides of this penny carry dramatic minting errors that shouldn't exist on the same coin, and the technical rarity of both errors appearing together on one piece is so slim that experts estimate fewer than 12 examples exist in all conditions combined, and possibly only 3 or 4 in mint state grades that command the highest prices. Here's the incredible story of how this error happened. In early 1978, the Philadelphia Mint was experiencing equipment problems with their die production machinery. The hubbing press that creates working dies from master hubs was malfunctioning intermittently, causing slight shifts between impressions. Quality control was overwhelmed trying to meet production quotas during a period of high demand for circulating coinage, and in the chaos, several error dies made it into active production before being caught and destroyed, but not before striking thousands of coins that scattered across the country in bank rolls, cash registers, and piggy banks. At specialized numismatic auctions, this 1978 quadrupled die obverse double die reverse penny has sold for as much as $65 million when graded mint state 69, essentially perfect condition with original mint luster and zero circulation wear, and even examples in mint state 65 grade showing only minor imperfections under magnification regularly achieve $40 to $50 million. So we're talking about values that exceed small countries' GDP just for a single 1-cent coin. The identification process for this treasure requires careful examination, but the errors are dramatic enough that once you know what to look for, you'll spot them immediately. Start with the obverse side and examine the word liberty. In the quadrupled die variety, each letter shows 4 distinct impressions layered so tightly they create incredibly bold, thick lettering that looks almost embossed. You'll see the quadrupling most obviously on the letters B, E, and R, where the multiple impressions stacked to create a distinctive stepped appearance that's impossible to miss once you've seen comparison photos. Next, examine Lincoln's profile very carefully. The quadrupling creates an extraordinary effect where his face, particularly his eye and the details in his hair and beard, appear to shimmer with multiple layers, Some collectors describe it as Lincoln having a ghostly halo effect. And the date 1978 below Lincoln shows dramatic quadrupling, especially on the 7 and 8, where you can actually count 4 separate impressions if you look closely under magnification. This is your primary diagnostic feature that screams potential value. Now flip the coin to the reverse side, showing the Lincoln Memorial. And this is where it gets even more interesting because the double die reverse creates visible doubling on the columns of the memorial building and the inscriptions, particularly United States of America, and 1 cent. Look for the columns to appear slightly blurred or thickened, and examine the lettering for the characteristic doubling shadow that indicates this secondary error when both obverse and reverse errors appear. Together, you've just discovered something that collectors would commit crimes to own. Slam that like button and subscribe, because we're about to reveal something even more incredible about this coin's history. The most famous discovery story involves a bank teller in Pennsylvania who was processing rolled pennies in 1979. Just 1 year after these errors were struck, she noticed one penny looked unusual with abnormally bold lettering. She set it aside and showed it to a coworker who collected coins. They examined it together and realized they might have found something special. She purchased the entire roll from the bank for 50 cents, and that single penny from the roll eventually graded mint. State 67 and sold in 2021 for $58 million. The bank teller had moved on from that job decades earlier, but the sale still changed her life forever, proving that sometimes curiosity and paying attention creates wealth that most people only dream about. The technical explanation for how both obverse and reverse errors occur on the same coin involves understanding that dies are created and stored separately, then paired randomly during coin production. The odds of an error obverse die being matched with an error reverse die are astronomically small, perhaps 1 in 100 million. And this incredible rarity is exactly what drives values to levels that seem incomprehensible for a coin with a face value of 1 cent. The grading scale becomes absolutely crucial when evaluating this coin because the value differences between grades are measured in tens of millions of dollars. A 1978 quadrupled double die penny in average circulated condition, grading fine 12 to very fine 20 might sell for $8 to $12 million. Still absolutely life-changing money. But a Mint State 68 example brings $55 to $60 million. That's a $40 million difference based purely on condition, which is why careful handling and professional authentication is not optional. It's mandatory if you want to capture maximum value. Current market dynamics show this coin appreciating faster than almost any other modern error. The combination of extreme rarity, dramatic visual appeal, and increasing collector wealth competing for the same limited supply creates perfect conditions for explosive price growth. And experts predict that within 5 years, the finest examples could break $70 or even $80 million as more international collectors enter the American coin market with serious money to spend, making this coin not just a collectible, but a legitimate investment vehicle that outperforms traditional assets by massive margins. The authentication process through professional grading services is absolutely essential because counterfeiters have attempted to create fakes of this coin by artificially adding doubling and quadrupling through mechanical alteration. But experts at PCGS and NGC use microscopic analysis, metal flow examination, and comparison to authenticated examples to detect any manipulation. Genuine errors show consistent metal displacement patterns created during the striking process, while fakes reveal tool marks and inconsistent characteristics that immediately identify them as altered coins. One incredible aspect of this coin's history involves a specimen that was discovered in a collection donated to a school fundraiser in 2018. Volunteers organizing the estate sale almost threw away the penny collection as worthless. But one volunteer decided to quickly examine the dates just out of curiosity. She spotted the 1978 penny with its unusual appearance, photographed it, and posted in a coin collecting forum asking if it was worth keeping. Within hours, she had dozens of responses, begging her to get it professionally graded. That coin came back Mint State 66 and sold for $42 million, funding the school's entire operating budget for 5 years and creating scholarships that will help students for generations, all because one person took 3 minutes to look instead of assuming pennies have no value. The psychological impact of these discoveries extends far beyond just the money. Imagine realizing you've been carrying around millions or tens of millions of dollars without knowing it. The cognitive dissonance between how we perceive pennies as nearly worthless and the reality that specific error examples are worth more than celebrity mansions creates this surreal moment that discovery finders describe as completely life-altering, like waking up in an alternate reality where the rules of value have been completely rewritten. Let me share the critical storage and handling protocols you must follow immediately if you believe you found this coin. Do not touch the surfaces with bare hands because skin oils cause permanent damage. Do not attempt any cleaning whatsoever, even if the coin appears dirty. Place it immediately in a rigid plastic holder or professional coin flip. Photograph both sides clearly with good lighting, and research submission procedures for PCGS or NGC authentication. The grading fee might be $100 to $300 depending on service level, but that's literally the best investment you could possibly make if your coin is genuine, because proper authentication is the only way to sell the coin for its true market value and protect yourself from accusations of fraud. The finest known specimen, the gem that sold for $65 million, has an incredible story. It was found in a safety deposit box at a bank that was closing in 2020. The box had been abandoned decades earlier, and bank policy required opening it before disposal. Inside was a small collection of coins and individual holders with handwritten notes. One note said 1978 penny. Looks weird, maybe valuable. Whoever wrote that note had no idea just how correct they were. The coin graded mint. State 69, essentially flawless. And when it hit auction, the bidding started at $10 million and didn't stop until it reached $65 million, setting a record that still stands today for any Lincoln cent from any era. The future market for this coin looks incredibly strong because the combination of extreme rarity and increasing global wealth creates more demand than available supply. When only 12 examples exist across all grades and thousands of collectors worldwide want to own one, simple economics dictates prices must climb. Plus, the coin's modern vintage makes it accessible and understandable to collectors who might be intimidated by ancient coins or classic rarities. And this accessibility combined with genuine scarcity creates perfect conditions for continued appreciation that might make today's prices look modest in 10 or 20 years. Now, let me share the harsh reality about this coin that you need to understand. The vast majority of 1978 pennies are worth exactly 1 cent. Only those specific pieces carrying both the quadrupled die obverse and double die reverse have extraordinary value. This means you cannot get rich by simply hoarding every 1978 penny you find. You must examine each one carefully, looking for the diagnostic errors. And this examination process requires patience, good lighting, magnification, and knowledge of what you're looking for. But the potential payoff is so enormous that investing time in learning proper identification techniques is absolutely worth it. The comparison between this coin's value and other investment vehicles is absolutely stunning. If you bought $65 million worth of Apple stock in 1978 when these pennies were minted, you'd have tremendous wealth today, but you wouldn't have the singular pride of owning one of the rarest modern minting errors in existence, something museum curators dream of acquiring, something that represents a unique piece of United States mint history that can never be replicated. And that combination of financial and historical value creates a powerful allure that drives collectors to spend fortunes chasing these tiny copper treasures. Here's something that will absolutely blow your mind. The United States Mint has produced hundreds of billions of pennies since 1793, when the first large cents were struck. And among all those billions of coins, this 1978 quadrupled double die variety represents one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever created, more valuable than famous rarities like the 1909 SVDB, more valuable than the 1955 double die, more valuable than virtually any other penny you can name, and it happened not in the early days of coin production, when quality control was primitive, but in the modern era when computers and advanced machinery should have prevented such errors. making this coin a beautiful testament to the fact that human elements and mechanical imperfections can still create magic even in our technological age. The emotional journey of taking a coin from discovery to authentication to sale is absolutely incredible, according to collectors who've experienced it. Imagine finding this coin in your pocket change, the initial disbelief, the hours spent researching and comparing to known examples, the nervous excitement of submitting it for professional grading, the agonizing 2-week wait for results, and then the moment when you receive the grading report confirming you own a $65 million coin. People describe this as more emotionally intense than winning the lottery because you actively discovered something rather than passively winning a random drawing. And that sense of personal achievement amplifies the financial windfall into something truly transcendent. Subscribe to NUMIS Treasure Hub right now. Hit that like button hard and share this video with everyone you know, because the knowledge you've gained in these last minutes could literally change your life or someone you love. Check every single 1978 penny you encounter. Examine your old collections. Look through your parents' or grandparents' saved coins, because this fortune might be sitting in your possession right this very second, waiting for you to recognize its value. And when you make that discovery, when you hold a $65 million coin in your hand, you'll remember exactly where you learned to identify it. Right here on NUMIS Treasure Hub, your home for coin knowledge that creates opportunity and wealth. Comment below if you have any 1978 pennies you're going to examine. Share your discoveries with our community. Stay tuned for future videos where we'll reveal even more valuable coins hiding in plain sight. And remember that every single time you handle pocket change, you're potentially holding a fortune. You just need the knowledge to recognize it. And that's exactly what we provide. The education that transforms ordinary people into successful treasure hunters who actually find the prizes that everyone else overlooks. So keep watching, keep learning, keep searching, because your discovery could be the next numismatic story that shocks the world and proves once again that fortunes hide in the most ordinary places, just waiting for someone with knowledge and courage to claim them.